أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to Practical Tajweed for each letter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا, to recite the Quran with tartil in a measured way. If we want to recite the Quran with tartil in a measured way, then not only we should be able to put the letters together and to be able to read the Quran in Arabic, but in addition to that, we should also apply the rules of 3 areas in Tajweed. And those 3 areas, number 1, the rules of Makhraj, number 2, the rules of Sifat, and number 3, the rules of general Tajweed. And as I mentioned before, the Tajweed is the synonym of Tartil, Tilawa Murattala, Tilawa Mujawwada. So therefore, inshallah, for us to recite the Quran with Tartil, we need to, in our recitation, apply the rules of Makhraj. Makhraj is simply where the letters come from, where the letters exit from. It is the original location of the letters. Of course, this Makhraj in reciting the Quran is also the phonics of the Quran recitation. I also say that Makhraj is like the residence of letters, where the letters reside in our mouth. Now, there are 5 major locations where the letters come from. So those 5 major locations are your tongue. Tongue is a big location. A large number of letters come from the tongue. So we need to know exactly which letters come from the tongue and which part of the tongue, because there are other subheadings under the tongue or sublocations under the tongue where different letters come from. Secondly, letters also come from the 2 lips. And we need to know which letters come from the 2 lips and exactly from which location. Thirdly, letters also come from our throat. And again, there are subheadings, sublocations, that different letters come from our throat. And we need to know exactly which letter comes from which part of the throat. Likewise, there is also another location called the nasal passage, where the gunna sound comes from. So the gunna sound comes from the nasal passage. And fifthly is the mouth or the empty space or the cavity where the elongation sound, the mudud sound comes from. So these are 5 major locations. There are other sublocations where the letters come from, where the original sound exit from. So therefore, it is very important that we exactly know those locations and which letter comes from which location, so that our pronunciation is accurate, our pronunciation is in line with وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا, in line with tartil, and we don't have any accent problem. And inshallah, with practice, we can make it, perfect, inshallah. Tajweed is one of those sciences that it requires a physical approach. It is more like being a sports athlete, that there's a lot of physical exercise. So with Tajweed, there is a lot of stretching of tongue so that we can pronounce the letters correctly. Learning theory of Tajweed rules is easy, but learning the practical application is difficult. And this is where we need practice, good knowledge, practice, and also studying under teachers, shuyukh, imams, and so forth. So inshallah, if we can learn and understand these different rules, and if we can focus on the application, the practical side of the letters, our tilawa will very shortly will reach a very high standard of tartil, inshallah.
الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يتلونه حق تلاوته أولئك يؤمنون به ومن يكفر به فأولئك هم الخاسرون.